pain, you can't shake that. All the way gassed up, full tank, man, moving too quick. Keep the cameras in the playback. Dang, so tell me how you feel with it. You put a lid on it, I ain't got no chill with it. This right here your problem, you gon' have to deal with it. Lay it on the line, high risk, that's the meal ticket. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at, never fall back. No lies on facts, we gon' stay right where we at. We ain't never fall back. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We ain't never fall back. Been way down, never falter. Came with the hands out, get them off us. I'm 24/7 in the office. Pay attention cause I ain't repeating offers. Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need a hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. We ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. Never fall back.
New seasons, new gear. Show the world what it means to be a fan in 100% authentic gear. Fanatics. Officially licensed everything.
Get ready to dive into a new world of online shopping with the Finn's Tailgate. Whether you're a die-hard sports fan or just looking for the latest fashion trends, we've got you covered. With a wide variety of products from your favorite sports teams to stylish accessories and home decor, we're your one-stop shop for all things tailgate. Our easy-to-use website and hassle-free checkout process make shopping with us a breeze. Plus, with frequent sales and discounts, you won't want to shop anywhere else. So come on in and join the party at the Finn's Tailgate, your new go-to destination for all things tailgate.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a brand new episode of Broken Takes. That is right. Welcome to the show where anything goes. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This show is all about whatever you make it about. Anything goes. You have a thought, you think it's right, go ahead and bring it to the table. Let's see what you got. I'm going to bring up some things that I want to say that I think a lot of people need to hear. I'm going to tell you some truths about our team. We're going to talk about where we go forward from here. Maybe we'll go in some insight into the offseason, what I think the direction of the team needs to go. I got my host, Color. He's up here, and it is going to be a great one. What is up, Color? How you doing today?
Pretty good, Ali. How about yourself? Good to see you back, man.
Day. I want to start the show by quoting a great man, the great Vince Lombardi. He says, winning is not something, it's an all-time thing. You don't win once in a while. You don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit. Unfortunately, so is losing. There is no room for second place. There is only one place in this game, and that's first place. There's a second place game, but it's a game for losers, as he says. It is and always will be an American deal to be first in anything we do, and to win, and to win, and to win. Every time football player goes to play his game, he's got to play from the ground up, from the soles of his feet right up to his head. Every inch of him has to play. Some guys play with their heads. That's okay. You've got to be smart to be number one in this business. But more importantly, you got to play with your heart and every fiber of your body. If you're lucky enough to find a guy with a lot of head and a lot of heart, he's never going to come off the field second, as he says. So what he says is that if you can find a guy that puts just as much in the smarts of football, in the heart of football, right? Putting your entire body, every fiber of your being on the line is what it takes to win. And that person will never finish second. I believe him. I believe that we need players on this team that are willing to put it all on the field. Not just on the field on game day, but in preparation, in practice, on game day, end of game day. I don't care. They need to be in football, play football, think football, speak football 24/7, in my opinion. If that's what it takes to win, then that's what I want on this team. I do agree. Winning is a habit. So is losing. And right now, the Miami Dolphins have a habit of losing. We have bad habits that we need to break, Color. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
We do have bad habits here. And I think
I will. You know, that was a beautiful quote by the great Vince Lombardi. There's a reason that the trophy in the NFL that represents the best and first place happens to have that man's name on it.
Mm-hmm.
The Vince Lombardi trophy.
Yep.
So for anybody that thinks, oh, well, the game's changed or priorities are this different and this or that, no. The trophy that these guys are trying to win is called the Vince Lombardi trophy. I think it's fine time that we remind ourselves of the things that Vince Lombardi said. And one of my favorite things that he said was, "What the hell is going on out here?"
I'm sure he's thinking that right now. What the fuck is this? Oh, man, that's funny. But no, I agree with you 100%. And there are players on this team that I don't think that they're willing to put every fiber of their being into the game. And that's what concerns me. You hear Chris Greer on several past couple of years. I want to say when we started this rebuild in 2019, where we tore the team down to the floor, right? He kept saying that, Yeah, we want to bring guys in here who love football, smart at the game of football and everything like that. But nobody said anything about being tough and physical. You know what I mean? And I don't think that we found guys that really love this game to be tough and physical enough. You know what I mean? They love this game because it gives them a big time paycheck. I'm sorry. And that's what I think is part of the issue. Am I pointing fingers at Tua? Because I know the Tuaniers are probably like, oh, you're trying to say that Tua's just here to collect a paycheck, blah, 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 blah. Well, he may not be the main person or culprit, but he's definitely among the usual suspects. Let's talk about that, right? The offensive line, you have maybe one person that's really making big time money, and that's Teron Armstead. Though he rarely plays when Tua is not playing. I think he played one game when Tua, and I think it was Tyler Huntley's win. I think we beat the Patriots. I think that's the one game he played when Tua was not playing. I don't think he puts enough out there, bro. I don't think he puts his body enough on the line in the matter of winning. I don't think Javon Holland puts his body enough on the line in the matter of winning. They don't prioritize winning. That's the problem. That is the problem. Now, you can say that, yeah, they do. They come out there, they put the work in, blah, 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 blah. But do they? Do they really put the work in, Color? I don't think they do. I don't think that they actually do enough. If you want to talk about every fiber of your being, that also includes taking risks. On the grandest stage of primetime Thursday night Thanksgiving, Tua didn't take the risk. He took the sack. You know, if that wasn't a make or break moment for us in the game, I probably wouldn't be so upset. You know what I mean? But that was like one of the last moments we had to actually do something, and he didn't take that risk. That's why I fault him for that. See, what I mean is players need to go above and beyond their capabilities. They got to take the egos, leave it at the door. You know, we got to leave all that at the door and play for each other. Play for the guy next to you. Play for the guy behind you. Play for the guy in front of you. You have to go in, and doesn't matter what it is, play beyond what even your body is willing. And that's what I take from Vince Lombardi's quote, or his speech that he gave. What do you think about that, Color?
I mean, you're absolutely on target, man. A lot of people don't like to hear it, but it is what it is.
And if you're looking for the rah, sugarcoating, person to hype up the Dolphins, yeah, that show's not tonight. Tonight's show is about some truths. The truth is Chris Greer, because, yeah, he's one of my usual suspects. That's part of the problem. In fact, I think I have that. No, I don't have that photo here. At a usual suspect show, or that I talked about a lot of the issues with the Dolphins, and there was an interesting image that was created. Chris Greer is a big issue here. While he does some amazing deals when it comes to making trades and coming away winning trades at times, right? He flunders it by mediocre draft picks that either don't make sense, or they're really not the need, or they go best player available when really the need is what we absolutely need at this point.
Right.
Look at it this way. We went to the Dollar Tree store to create our offensive line, for example. We paid a left tackle big time money when the real issue was the right tackle at the time, if you remember, because we have Tua as our quarterback. He's a left-handed quarterback. Right tackle is more important than the left tackle. We decided to go get big time name left tackle, thinking it'd make a difference. And then we paid the rest of the offensive line pennies. 1 million here, 1 million there, 500,000 here. We can't even go and get a true guard, right, to play guard for us. Now, I could argue that Austin Jackson, on the other hand, actually has kind of panned out as a right tackle. He does perform okay over there. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Eichenberg is starting to get better at his position. But the key points to those two positions are the fact that they were drafted, not paid for.
Right.
In that kind of sense. And I think that is something and that's the segue that we'll talk about a little bit later. Where do we go from here, especially in the draft and the off season? I think we do need to look at rebuilding this team thoroughly, specifically at the trenches, through the draft. If you want to be a nickel and dime guy, do it in the draft. You can get better prospects, and we don't have to pay them top dollar right away or watch them walk out the building, for nothing right away. We can at least get 4 years, maybe a 5-year deal out of them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, one thing I've noticed in this draft, there's a lot of offensive tackles and guards and everything else. Now, we did draft an offensive tackle this past draft, Patrick Paul, and I am excited to see what he does in the full-time role that he takes on. He was a raw project that I think he's gotten some playing time this season. He's shown a lot of good, some bad, but a lot of good. And I think the longer he is in this project and role, I think he's going to definitely be something for us, right? You got to re-sign Eichenberg if you want to keep him. So really the only two people that we have on that were signed, that have been signed, that are going to be here still next season is Patrick Paul or Austin Jackson. So those are your right and left tackles, essentially, right?
Right.
The one position we flumbered this season so bad, Color, was the guard center position. And let me explain. Yeah, we went and got Isaiah Wynn back, but we got Isaiah Wynn when he was injured. We got injured Isaiah Wynn, right? So we got him, brought him back. We went and got, we have Robert Jones. Yeah, Robert Jones is here. Eichenberg had to be your other guard, right? And then we brought in Brewer. So Brewer's here. He's been okay. I don't really think we got to see him enough in preseason to really see what he could definitely do for us, or at least maintain success during the season, because I don't think he got enough work in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So for me, the offensive line, the big issue was the fact that all you had was a starting offensive line with those key pieces. One of them goes down, you have an issue at guard/center. It was your Achilles heel of this team. Eichenberg goes down. We didn't really have anybody that was going to come over and fill in Eichenberg's position. And if Robert Jones went down, what were you going to do? Move Eichenberg over and try to fill in somebody else that we didn't really have.
Right.
You had your left tackle and right tackles taken care of. You had Kendall Lamb. You had, Patrick Paul. That was not a problem. But the interior offensive line, in my opinion, has not been that great at all. And if you look at the teams that are contenders for both the playoffs and the Super Bowl, they have invested more money in their offensive line, and they went and actually got healthy, good guards. The interior offensive line is where they have really invested in. As well as You look at teams like Cincinnati or even Kansas City, who have really invested year after year on their offensive line. How many times have they signed somebody big or made somebody trades, for their offensive line? I understand they've done that. Has it been successful? In some retrospects, it has. Kansas City won the Super Bowl. Cincinnati is still, they're still a decent team. They still make the playoffs. You know what I mean? It's not like they erased themselves from off the face of the earth.
Right.
You look at a team that invests in their offensive line every year, specifically in the draft, the Baltimore Ravens. I think it's like every other year they're getting an offensive lineman, at least in the first or second round of the draft. And if it's not an offensive lineman, they're getting a defensive tackle. It's all in those trenches. And that's really where it is for me with this team. We got to do something about these trenches. We got our edge players, right? We went and got Chop Robinson. Definitely big hit. Thank you very much, Chris Greer. I mean, I was kind of wrong about Chop. I'll admit it. But he's really showing up, right? I give him that. We went and got Mo Kamara, which I'm kind of disappointed, bro. I expected more from Mo Kamara, and we haven't really seen that at all.
Right.
Will he re-sign Jalen Phillips? That's a good question. I think he should, but then again, Jalen Phillips, I mean, I'm only going to speak truth color. Don't bite my head off. Jalen Phillips has been injury prone the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I know.
And that's an issue.
Look, man, nobody's sacred right now, bro. I'm completely fed up with the whole shebang, bro. So nobody's sacred right now, man.
Yeah, nobody's safe, in my opinion. And and trust me, nobody loves Jalen Phillips as much as you than me. I love Jalen Phillips too. I was saying he was going to be a 10 to 17 sack guy every season. You know what I'm saying? And he's having bad luck. He is the victim of bad luck. That's basically what it's come down to.
Right.
We went and got Chop. You brought in Calais Campbell for a defensive tackle. You know he's probably going to retire next season. I mean, I'll be surprised. I'll be happy, but I'll be surprised if he comes back one more season. That's a position of big-time need for us in this offseason. And then you look at guys like Chubbs, right? What's going on? What's the status on Chubb? Is he coming back? Is he not coming back? Is he still?
I haven't heard the latest on him. I do know Good is on his way back, but I'm not sure about Chubb. Also, Fuller, I believe, is on his way back.
Fuller, we need. We do have a lack at cornerback, specifically with Cam Smith now going to the IR. Are we saying Cam Smith's a bust? He's had 2 seasons, hasn't done nothing really at all. Are we saying he's bust or not at this point? Or do we have
I mean, the guy still hasn't. I mean, I don't know. Depends on your definition of that word, but
okay. Well, he's been disappointing for the first.
Look, I would encourage you to go to our favorite friendly stat site that you and I use, and just check out the season long stat line for one Tyreek Stevenson, and you can pretty much answer that question yourself.
Oh yeah, that Chris Greer blundered the draft by drafting somebody that wasn't even on our radar. He wasn't even the highest grade corner at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Because I thought we were getting Tyreek Stevenson's team. I was like, if we're going corner, that's the guy I'm taking. How many mock drafts did we pull off? And he was there, and we took him, and he was there for the taking. I don't know. It's
right.
Crazy. It's crazy. So let's talk about, and let me pull it up here, Color. I am going to pull up where the Miami Dolphins have invested in their offensive line in 2024. Actually, I have the investment for each team, Color, not just Miami. All right, here we go. So in 2024, the Miami Dolphins, and this was as of June 28, 2024, actually.
Mhm.
All right, so this is after the draft, after free agency. We're going into preseason, training camp and whatnot. The Miami Dolphins have invested approximately 30. That's not it. Where are we? Here we are. $37.16 million. Right? Sounds like a lot. 13.49% of their cap is what has been invested in the offensive line. That seems like a lot. Believe it or not, they're not the highest. Baltimore Ravens, I mentioned them earlier, right?
Mhm.
They've invested $40.034 million. That's 14.45%.
Wow.
We look at Minnesota Vikings. They've become a big deal nowadays, right? They have invested $48.162 million, 18.13% of their cap. Cincinnati, I brought them up earlier because they're one of the teams that made massive moves at offensive line. $48.29 million, 17% of their cap. Eagles, $48.67 million, 18.05% of their cap.
Mhm.
Houston Texans, $55 million, 20.34% of their cap. San Francisco 49ers, $56 million, 18.63%. Lions, I'm going to tell you straight up right now, spoiler, I really think that this is the Lions' year. I think they're getting all the way to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. All right. I'm not going to say they're the winner because it all depends on who they're playing. But I'm going to tell you, I think that they're the team to make it to the Super Bowl, one of the two teams. What do you think about that?
Who are you talking about? The Lions?
The Lions, I think they're going
Yeah,
all
I mean, I think we've agreed on that for a couple seasons now that they were well on their way there.
Yeah,
They-
they're like,
you could say that that's the type of that's what they've built, is what I have always referred to as a Super Bowl contender, not a playoff contender.
yeah, bro. They are the team, and I hate saying this. I really hate it. But they're what I wish our team was. You know what I mean? I wish our team was at where they're at now with their rebuild and their dynasty that they're building.
Right. And that's the thing, is that people confuse Super Bowl contender with having made it to the Super Bowl. And again, getting back to what you said about we're saying about Vince Lombardi and his philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know what it takes to win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Many teams have been built that way that never got to the Super Bowl, but they were still built that way because they knew what it took to win the Super Bowl. Then there's teams that know what it takes to win a playoff game, and you can build that type of team, but that type of team might not be a Super Bowl contender. You see the difference? The difference being a Super Bowl contender can win playoff games on their way to hopefully getting to and competing in the Super Bowl. A playoff contender can win playoff games with no hope of ever making it all the way there without falling in. Two different types of teams.
Yeah, they're basically designed to win their division only. That's
The difference being Detroit Lions last year didn't make it to the Super Bowl. We're on the brink. Didn't get the job done and get in. But they're right back there doing it again, which means even if they make it this year or not, Super Bowl contender is built.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because what happens is, as Cap had pointed out the injury list earlier on another show, a playoff contender has some roadblocks, injuries, whatever it may be, a bad loss here or there, whatever, and that derails their entire season, they don't even make it to the playoffs. Whereas a Super Bowl contender has some roadblocks, and that means, well, we get to the championship game and can't get over the Baltimore Ravens. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But we're still a Super Bowl contender, just as they are. You get what I'm saying? That's the difference. It's about your attitude. What are you trying to build? If you building a Super Bowl contender doesn't guarantee you a visit to the Super Bowl. But you know what guarantees you not a visit to the Super Bowl? Building anything but a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
So you have to build it. Whether you stumble through the playoffs and don't get there a couple years, you still have to build that Super Bowl contender, that one that when you do win and can get there, you're ready to take the stage and win that ball game. You always were, because you were a Super Bowl contender.
Yep, I definitely understand, and I agree with you 100%. You know, they're trying to win Super Bowls rather than win the division, and it shows because they're right back in the fight. You know,
right? If you shoot for A's, you're going to guarantee yourself B's and C's. Mm-hmm. If you shoot for C's, you're going to guarantee yourselves F's and D's.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You shoot for the Super Bowl because you're going to stumble through on the way of stumbling and not getting there. You're going to win your division. You're going to win a playoff game or two. That's going to come along. But building to win those playoff games or win that division, what does that do for you? If the wild card comes up to you in round one and takes you out.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Color, but I don't want to lose focus on the point of this conversation first. But I do want to say something about what you just said there. Shooting for Super Bowls. I honestly think that is the problem with the AFC East. It's not just the Miami Dolphins. I want to say that's an issue for the Buffalo Bills as well, and the Jets. They try to shoot for Super Bowls by really just creating their team to win their division, and that's not how you do it.
Well, the Bills, I would say, being that they have been at the brink, I look at them sort of like the Lions of the AFC. They kind of have built a Super Bowl contender. They're perennially a 11 plus win team. They're always getting to either divisional round or the championship round. And if you don't watch your P's and Q's, they're always going to make you pay for it in the playoffs and make it to that Super Bowl because they're a Super Bowl contender. You see what I'm saying?
I kind of hear what you're saying. I just don't think they've done that in the last 3 years.
I know people are going to disagree with me, especially Dolphin fans, because eventually I can hear plenty of people that I respect yelling at the top of their lungs, you got to do it, Color, to be considered that. And I get what they would be thinking.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. What I'm saying is it's about your attitude.
Mm-hmm.
What type of team are you trying to build? How are you coaching that team? What are you expecting? Because if you want the playoff win every year, if you want the division and want the playoff win every year, and that's what you're fine settling for, you still have to build a Super Bowl contender to guarantee it.
Yeah, I definitely understand. But the reason I don't think the Bills are a Super Bowl contender, some of their moves that they have made over recent years were reactionary moves based on
Fair enough. Fair enough. But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
If before at the start of any season for the last 4 or 5 years and the season coming up next year, would you put your money on the Bills winning a playoff game? before the season started?
That's a good question.
Like as a general bet, $5-10. Would you bet your hard-earned money that the Bills would win a playoff game on any given season? This team for the last 5 years and going forward with the McDermott era, you know what I mean? Let's say, and Josh Allen era.
Yeah.
Would you bet on them to win a playoff game in any given year?
I guess
guaranteed.
You're saying I just got to win one game, right?
Yeah, one playoff game, guaranteed every year.
Quite a few times in a row. Okay.
Would you guarantee it? If you're willing to guarantee that one playoff win, then they have themselves a Super Bowl contender, Ali.
I see your point. All right.
If you're guaranteeing that they're going to be in the divisional round every year without getting the bye, or a championship round if they do get the bye, and you're willing to guarantee that every year, you've got yourself a Super Bowl contender. They don't have to ever get there.
I hear what you're saying. I see what you're saying. But going back to our main conversation, Color, and I appreciate you bringing that.
No problem. I didn't mean to get all that deep on it, but I can hear everybody saying, "Well, what are you talking about? You got to do it to be considered that." Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
you got it. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying. You're definitely right.
For the Super Bowl, you got to be in the Super Bowl. I get that.
So you're saying if we make the playoffs every year and we're winning at least a game
every single year to the point where you can guarantee we're going to be in the divisional round every year, home field advantage or not.
Yeah.
With a good shot of winning it, no matter who our opponent is, then you got yourself a Super Bowl contender, because you're not contending in the Super Bowl without getting to the Super Bowl, but you're a contender in the respect that if you got there, you belong there.
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying.
Anybody that belongs there, whether they get there or not, if you belong in that game, if you were to get there, then you're a Super Bowl contender. If the Lions got to the Super Bowl this year, nobody would be surprised. That means they're a Super Bowl contender.
That's true. That is true.
And there'd be plenty of people picking them to win it. Depending on the opponent, obviously,
I hear you.
But I bet you even against the Chiefs, I bet you the Lions would still get plus 145. I bet you, if not lower.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. So, Color, let's
I know it's broken takes. I'm sure that's a broken take, but you know what I mean? Vegas,
I don't think that's
Vegas is probably sitting there laughing at me going, Color.
If it's the Lions versus Kansas City, I bet you the Lions get plus 145. I bet you
the spread is like plus 2.5 on the Lions. Like minus 2.5 for the Chiefs. Both set at minus 115 or, something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. All right, so let's get back to the main topic here. We're talking about
Lions fans would argue they should be favored. Just saying.
That's true. The Lions fan probably would think that they should be favored, but personally, being from that area, I'm from Northwest Ohio. I used to be able to throw a football to Michigan. Not kidding, because that's how close to the border I am, or was. It's a blue-collar area. And they fight and play like they're the underdog. They think like they're the underdog. That whole community up and down and through like that, they would prefer to be the underdog when it comes to the Super Bowl personally. That's what I personally think. So that being said, what does Kansas City invest in their offensive line? The Lions invest over $59 million, about 23.77%. What do you think Kansas City, who has won the last, 2-3 Super Bowls? What do you think?
The last couple you said have been right around what percent?
around 20. The Lions was 23%. San Francisco was 18, and then Houston was about 20%. Who else?
I'm gonna say the Chiefs are at about 16.5%.
Well, that's
and I didn't look it up. I promise.
I know you didn't look it up because you're completely off.
All right. Well, fine.
The
I was just testing you. That wasn't my real guess.
Kansas City, believe it or not, are the third highest investment in offensive line in the league.
Wow, really?
Nearly $70 million, Color.
Yet Mahomes still has to run around and throw with his left hand.
5.83% of their cap.
Right. Yet he still has to run around and throw with his left hand.
Yeah, that is true. He still runs around, but they have invested massively in their offensive line. And guess what that equates to? Super Bowl wins, Colin.
I was just going to say.
Super Bowl wins. Right?
Contender.
What does it equate to when it comes to the Houston Texans being in the playoffs and winning a playoff game? Ooh, they won a playoff game. Look at San Francisco. You could say they're a pre-annual NFC contender or even Super Bowl contender since they've been in the Super Bowl last year and multiple NFC championship appearances, right? That's what they are paying for, right? What the hell is the Miami Dolphins paying for with only what percentage? Not even 14% of their cap on the offensive line. Do we see a problem here? I went through all the teams, bro. All these teams that are playoff contenders have spent more money on their offensive line than we have. And the last, like the highest ones are the ones that are making it to the freaking NFC and AFC championship games.
Well, that may be fair, but that may be fair. But keep in mind what we're getting. I mean, it's taken 3 years to get here. I'll say that. Okay. But what we're getting out of that money, you could argue, is quite efficient and could consider to be a feat in and of itself that should command some respect. Mm-hmm. Because currently, Aaron Brewer is the 13th ranked center in pass block win rate. And the Dolphins are still holding the 14th ranked position. So my question in pass block win rate, my question would be the highest one that was invested, right? Which one was that?
Toronto. The highest team that invested?
Yeah.
Oh. And I will tell you why it seems that they've invested so much is because they overpaid our former player, by the way.
Right. Oh, I just want to see if there's a correlation between who the top is and, what sort of their Super Bowl wins, but not just measured on Super Bowl wins. So who's the top?
The Carolina Panthers, $73 million, which is about 25.34%.
Okay, so they're currently ranked 28th in pass block win rate and 17th in run block win rate. Mm-hmm. So one of the other higher ones that have won, championships, Kansas City, you said, is one among the higher ones, right?
They're number 3 in the league.
Okay, so Kansas City is currently the 4th ranked pass block win rate and the 1st ranked run block win rate. So it still comes down to money don't buy love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha. I had to let my kid into my room. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's what I was saying, Ali, is what it comes down to still is that money don't buy love. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying, that money don't buy love.
A certain amount of coaching and whatever else going on that gets the product, the production out of the players. So give me somebody like, who's the second highest?
The Colts.
The Colts. So let's look at the Colts. They're currently 30th ranked pass block win rate and 6th ranked run block win rate.
Mm-hmm.
And Miami, you said, is right around the lower tier of the league, right?
They were number like 13 in the league.
And our pass block win rate is 14th ranked, and our run block win rate is 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the mediocrity is matching the mediocre amount in spending. You know what I mean? In our case.
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
We also have we also have our quarterback has the 30, what is it now? 33rd, 34th highest pressure rate at 12% on the season.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see real quick, just if there's a correlation. Not that it means everything, but we just looked at
hold it down
win
for me.
rates. Right on. We just looked at win rates of the offensive line, so we could also then look at the pressure rates of these quarterbacks for this season. The highest being Deshaun Watson at 31.9%. Russell Wilson being number 2 at 29.4%. CJ Stroud, 27.4%. Now, the third highest amount spent percentage-wise for O-line, Patrick Mahomes is getting 23.6% pressure rate. And the other one, the Colts, number 2, Anthony Richardson, is getting 24.8% pressure rate. While Tua, on the other hand, is experiencing 13.2% pressure rate, and that is good for 35th in the league. So 35th highest. The league average is 21.7%. That's what Jameis Winston is getting, but the league average happens to be the same number, 21.7% league average pressure rate, and the Dolphins are getting 13.2%. When Tua is in the game. Let's see where else we looking. Jared Goff, Detroit Lions is who we were speaking of. Jared Goff is. Where you at, Jared? Just below league average at 21st. And his pressure rate is where'd he go? I lost him again. Jared Goff, pressure rate 21.2%, just below league average. Brock Purdy, 20%, even. Aaron Rodgers, 19.9%. Jordan Love, 19.5%. Bo Nix, 18.2%. Jaden Daniels, 18%. Kyler Murray, 16.5%. Josh Allen, 16.3%. Baker Mayfield, 14.7%. He's the next highest from Tua at 13.2%. CJ Stroud, 27.4%. Sam Darnold, 25.7%. Daniel Jones, 24.5%. Derek Carr, I could keep going. Matt Stafford, 23.3%. Caleb Williams, 23.1%. Justin Herbert, everybody's favorite go-to, 22.8%. Jalen Hurts, 22.1%. All above league average. Joe Burrow, 21.9%. You're on mute, Ollie.
Sorry about that. So, Color, that's really interesting, and I'm glad I have you here to really articulate how to show that the offensive line is, performing. In my opinion, they're an average but not horrible offensive line.
Well, really quickly, we saw how the game went last night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know that obviously the Packers defense, when it comes to what am I trying to say? Look, they're going against Jared Goff and the Lions, right?
Okay.
And but Jared Goff, I don't know. Well, let's find out, right? Let's do this very easily. We'll go here. Here, Jared Goff, 2024 advanced game logs, pressure rate against Green Bay. Wow, 2.3%.
So, Color, let me ask you a question.
Tua's against Green Bay was 9.6%.
Let me ask you this, Color. We know Kansas City has spent the third highest amount in 2024 in regards to their offensive line. And actually, I want to say, at the beginning of 2024, before the season started, they spent the third most. Currently, they're the number one team that has spent the most on their offensive line, right?
Right.
As of right now. But in 2023, pull that up. They weren't the most. The Lions were the most. And they were actually around the same area that we're at. They were about 16th, somewhere around there, right? When it comes to the highest being number one, we were the 16th highest team, I guess, and the Kansas City was, right? Then look at their that was their offensive line. Now look at their defensive line. Defensive line in 2024 shows that they're approximately, where is it? I just saw it a moment ago. They are, and this is the 2024 investment that they have. And let me make sure this is right. Defensive line, right? Where is it? I saw it here. They have spent approximately $71 million on their defensive line. Actually, this is their defense. I need defensive line, not just defense. Okay, I take that back. They've spent $35 million, which is number 11 in the league, right? So offensive line and defensive line, they have paid for arguably, and you could say this says that they're ranked number 11 by numbers, but you could argue that they have paid for decent top 10, top 15 at least offensive line and defensive line.
Uh-huh.
Do you see what my correlating there right there? They have made the investment and they have won that investment by proving that they've won the last two Super Bowls with that investment because they've done it in back-to-back years. Now, you look at Miami, who has made the least amount investment in 2024 when it comes to the defensive line, and we'll go to 2023. Miami was ranked 10, surprisingly, back then. We still had Christian Wilkins on our team, and he was pretty much getting all the money. Him and Emmanuel Ogba got crazy contracts.
Uh-huh.
And then you look at 2024, we've dropped down to number 26. We're only investing $14 million, right, in the defensive line. And then you go to offensive line. Offensive line, again, we're number 23 in 2024. And then you go to 2023, our offensive line, again, we dropped one spot from 2023 to 2024. We were 22 in 2023. That's how low of money we've invested in this offensive line. So we should only expect low performance based on what we're getting. If we're going to pay low, we're only going to get low returns. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Kansas City is paying high, getting big returns. That's the correlation I'm getting. Even the Lions in 2023 had the highest paid offensive line in 2023. They're getting big returns. They went from nobody in 2023 to being an NFC possible Super Bowl contender because they were getting there. They've won the playoff games, like you said, Color, right? They're the highest paid. They're getting the biggest return, right? Defensive line. In 2024, they haven't really had to invest too much in their defense line because most of it has been and it's the one thing that we've been missing out on, drafting. How many first-round picks have we missed out on the last couple of years because of all the penalties we got, Color? You know what I mean? We haven't been able to draft all of our picks like we normally do, right? We haven't been able to do that. And I think that's what's hurting us, right? We've tried to nickel and dime it with all the players and needs that we've had, and it just hasn't panned out. And that's what I'm concerned about. So where do we go from here? You're telling me that they're performing, but are they? I mean, there's times I'm there and I'm not sure what's going on because they're not giving him enough time to throw, or our running backs are not getting the holes that they've gotten in the past. You know, there's definitely a drop off at center. Freaking Connor Williams upped and retired. Who was expecting that?
Right.
You know, I thought it was horrible that he signed with Seattle and then he turned around and retired. I'm like, okay, I guess it was for the best. Shit. I don't know, Color. I don't know what's going on. My point is that I think that we have to start investing more money in the trenches, specifically guard, center. I don't know. Do you think Brewer is really the guy? I don't
know, man.
When Connor Williams was here, we all knew he was the guy. We're like, yeah, he's the guy. We got our center.
I mean, nobody's the guy right now because, you know, like, wow, it's really going to be interesting to see how we go forward with the rest of the season and evaluating who the guys are. It really is, because I don't know how you can figure it out if you're not willing to do what it takes to find out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, my issue with this team is that we're so dependent on all of our starters playing that when one of them falls off, the whole team falls off, like a Achilles heel issue. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's too dangerous. We think we have depth. We don't have the depth that we need. And how you build the depth that you need is through the draft. And that's where I'm getting at, where we need to go. I don't want us to go nickel and dime at the Dollar Tree store. You know, Chris Greer, if you want to shop there, that's on you. I really think you need to pack your bags and actually shop somewhere that's better for you for the long haul, and that's in the draft. I think this draft, you're going to see a lot of offensive and defensive linemen taken, and I think there's a lot of options for us. And I really think we need to really take a good look and invest heavily in there. I could argue that our defensive line and offensive line.
And make a change.
What do you say, Keller?
I said, take a look at yourself and make a what? Change.
Make a change. That's right. You need to make a change. We do need to make a change here. And the change for me is that we need to start really taking our draft picks seriously. Don't just pick best player available. At this point, I think offensive line is really where you need to go shopping. There's a lot of options in this coming up draft. There's guys in the first and second round we can get. You could go offensive tackle in the first round and then turn around and get one of the best starting guards, Donovan Jackson, for example. That's who I want. That's a guard that I really want on our team. There's a lot of options, and I think Mike McDaniel needs to convey that to Chris Greer that we really need to invest there. We've already invested in the edge, players. We went and got Chop Robinson. We got Mo Kamara. I really think we're still going to re-sign Jalen Phillips. I don't know if he really deserves it or not, but I think we are going to re-sign him. So those are your three, edge players that you have. And then linebacker is also a question. Personally, I feel more comfortable maybe picking up a linebacker or two in free agency. We've been pretty successful at it. I mean, Jordan Brooks has been pretty good, even Anthony Walker was pretty good until he got injured, so that's an option. But defensive line, we haven't been able to find an answer there by picking up nickel and diming players in the free agency, and we haven't been able to pick up anybody that's really world changing in free agency since we had gotten Connor Williams however long ago, or Teron Armstead. But it's going to cost a little bit more. There was guards that we could have traded for or even picked up as a designated free agent or restricted free agent that we just didn't do that, Color. And they would have cost us cheap. I saw them turn around and sign with a different team for $21 million on a 3-year deal. And I'm like, do you mean to tell me that we let him walk for $7 million? We could have afforded that, and we didn't do that. And I don't know why. I don't get it. They think that these receivers and running backs are going to carry this team so much. They haven't done it, bro. They haven't proven that they can do that. It's different when you have a quarterback that can play at a level to carry any team because they play beyond the abilities of the other players, right? But we don't have that type of quarterback. Our quarterback, and I'm sorry, 2 years, but our quarterback even admitted that he is not your saving grace hero type of quarterback, right? He doesn't play like that. It's not his style. Don't expect him to be the hero on every game day like that. Even said it himself. That doesn't come from me. That's coming from the horse's mouth, right? That's the issue with our quarterback. That's the issue with this system. It's too dependent on variables and who is executing said variable. I should have recognized it way back before we even signed Mike McDaniel, because it was the issue for the 49ers. A certain player would go down, the whole team went down. Debo's down, the whole team's down. Right? Freaking Garoppolo's down, the whole team goes down. And that's what happens every year with the 49ers, and it's happened every year to us. That's the issue with this scheme that we're running. It is so specific and so risky at the same time. So, did you get a chance to look at my mock draft that I did? I posted on Twitter. Did you see it?
Very briefly.
Very briefly? Let me pull that up. I'm going to share it with everybody. Speaking of which, did you see Dan Campbell's after the game speech to the team, the victory speech?
No, I didn't get a chance.
Bro, Dan Campbell, bro. This is why I really wish Dan Campbell ended up being our head coach. I do not know why we let him go. This guy, we talked about Vince Lombardi, and we talked about winning is a habit. Losing is a habit. You know, putting every fiber of your being on the line, on the field, and leaving it all on the field. Dan Campbell is the embodiment of that. You go listen to what he had to say. It was like listening to Vince Lombardi. He was talking about his players being warriors, gladiators on the field, right? Putting it all on the line. Even one of his players, defensive players, was on his knees puking while he's giving the speech. He even looked at him and said, yeah, whatever his name is over there puking. That guy's a warrior. He put it all on the line, right? And if you listen to his speech, I wish we had that kind of culture in Miami. I wish we had that type of coach, right? That's what I wish we had. But here we are. So let me pull up my draft. I'm going to share it. And let me share screens. And I'll explain what happened. Now, this is a way too early mock draft. Some of these players I haven't really gotten to really look into. I don't want to point fingers at that. I do want to point fingers at the positions, though. That's what I want to point fingers at. And let me share my screen. All right, Color, can you see it okay?
Maybe one step bigger.
One step bigger? Let me see if I can do that.
If not, it's manageable.
Actually, let me see if I can solo it. Is there a way to solo? How's that?
Much better.
Okay. All right. So right off the get-go, we're currently in the draft order. We're ranked at 12th, right? And I can't remember who it was. I think it was maybe Tennessee or somebody offered to trade with me one spot up. So I dropped down from 12th to 13th. And I picked up the 78th pick, I believe. And yeah, I didn't give up anything. I didn't give up anything except for the number 12 pick, right? So I took it. I pick up Kelvin Banks Jr., big time offensive tackle from Texas, right? Really good there. Surprisingly, in the second round, Donovan Jackson, who is a big time offensive guard, I really thought he would be a first round pick. He's available. I still think he's going to be a first round pick, like late first round. But if he's there in the second round and Miami doesn't take him and they haven't addressed the guard position, I'm going to be pissed. So I went ahead and took Donovan Jackson. Comes the late number 78th pick, right? Which I believe is an early, late second or early third, I believe. Tate Radledge is available, offensive guard for Georgia. Why not? Best ranked player on the board. I'm going to double up on guard. Now, the reason I said don't look at players, look at positions. If I'm Chris Greer and I want to actually do right by this team, you already got the offensive weapons. You already got the running backs, right? Go fix the trenches. That's your biggest holes. Go fix the interior offensive line. Go fix the defensive tackle position. Go fix that. And you have a much more sounded defense. You have a much more sounded offensive line and offense that I think can do a lot more than what they've shown. Right? Then come the third round pick, number 98. Parker Braceful is available. Offensive center from Alabama. I thought about this. We don't really have a true backup center. So is Eichenberg really our backup center? Is that what we're doing? So I was like, you know what? We're rebuilding the offensive line through the draft. Why not? First 4 picks off the board, offensive line. Why not? I went ahead and took care of it. Right? Brand new offensive line. Probably the youngest. Maybe combined with Patrick Paul and Austin Jackson and Brewer. I think we have a good team there. This is starting to become pretty solid. Number 9 pick. What other position do we need? We went ahead and released David Long. I went ahead and picked up Deontay Lawson, linebacker from Alabama. No, I'm not trying to stack on Alabama players, for Tua. This guy was just the best available at that position. And I didn't like the defensive tackles that were available at the time because I felt I could get better draft quality if I, waited a little bit longer, which it turned out. I could turn around and got Tyler, and I apologize if I don't say his name correctly, Anidum. I don't know how to say that. How do you say that, Color? Do you know how to pronounce that?
Let me see. Tyler, what?
Tyler, Onyedim.
Onyedim or something. Yeah.
You're my language guy. That's why I'm referring to you, Colin. Defensive tackle, Iowa State. Pretty decent defensive tackle. Iowa State generally has a good sound defense. I went ahead and picked him up. I doubled on defensive tackles because pick 151 came around. Took the Patrick Jenkins from Tulane, right? What other position do we need? Oh, we need safety. Best safety on the board was Alabama's Malachi Moore. So I went ahead and picked him up. We probably do need to pick up another safety.
Malachi Moore, not Malachi Moore.
I went ahead and picked up Malik Verdon from Iowa State, another safety there. And then the last 2 picks, obviously, I'm going to go ahead and address the top 2 positions of need, offensive line and defensive line. I picked up Josh Pribby, offensive guard in Michigan, and JJ Pegus, defensive tackle from Ole Miss. Those 2 guys are just expected to be camp bodies. Maybe they make the team surprisingly in the end. I don't expect too much of them. It was really just positional need. Let's go ahead and fix this offensive line. I think this draft, if Chris Greer came along with this, do I think this is realistic? No. But I do think that if he came away with this, I'd give him an A+, because he went ahead and addressed every position in need on this team, prioritized the trenches, and I think that's where we win, Color. We win in the trenches, and I think this does it for us. Could we sprinkle in an offensive lineman or a defensive tackle in free agency? Yeah, probably. But I really think we need this type of investment, a full-blown reconstruction investment, all in the draft. I think that turns your team around greatly. What do you think?
Does nothing for the quarterback.
I hear you.
It does,
but I kind of have a feeling we're stuck with Tua, bro.
You build something like that, you can have a lot of quarterbacks out there.
Say that again?
I said, if you build something like that, then you can have a lot of quarterbacks out there. But that's supposing that every one of them work.
This is true. I kind of like this because it allows us to actually have the option to go get other quarterbacks if needed at that point. I don't think we're in striking distance of being able to get one of the main quarterbacks that are out there, a la Shedeur Sanders, a la Cam Ward, which if I told you who got Cam Ward, you'd be very upset, Color. It was the Jets. The Jets took Cam Ward.
Well, good thing we're not the Jets.
Yeah. You don't want Cam Ward? You don't like Cam Ward?
It's not the end of the world to me.
I hear you. I just know you like your Hurricane players, so.
Yeah, I know. One of them played for the Bills.
That's true. The Hurricane players pretty much played for every team on this league, to be honest. But all in all, Color, this is where I'm at. I do think that we need a full-blown investment in the trenches. You can see that there has been somewhat of a drop-off on the defensive tackle position. I mean, Calais Campbell has helped. He's been pretty good, solid, right? But there are times where I can see that even having him isn't enough. You know what I mean? It doesn't, we don't get the consistency when Calais Campbell has to take a break, for example, right? The offensive line, we've had injuries up and down. How many times has Teron Armstead get injured, right? Isaiah Wynn couldn't even make it to play a full game yet. I think he's going to actually maybe start probably tomorrow on Sunday, right? You look at who else got injured. I mean, there's been people injured up and down this. I think Austin Jackson is injured now, right? He's not even playing his position. So you get people, you definitely need real true depth, not nickel and dime depth. And I think a draft like this would do that for you. It would do wonders. It would build depth all up and down the offensive and defensive line. You already got players that you drafted a year ahead of time that can add a lot of that for you as well. And I think this team could be a solid playoff and hopefully a Super Bowl contender. But I definitely, if we had this infused in our roster, I really could see us getting to the playoffs without a question. What are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah. Same old, same old.
Same old, same old?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what we do, whether we do all that or not, we still have to get a quarterback.
I hear you, man.
Look, it's quarterback number one for me, bro. I don't care what it takes. Because all that can be done after we get a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. I understand what you're saying. Get the quarterback first. I definitely hear you.
While we're going through 17 games of losing to coach all these rookies up, what's the difference?
Does the quarterback have to come through the draft, Color?
No, not really.
The Lions quarterback didn't come through the draft.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
offensive line and defensive line in their drafts.
I know. I'm not even engaging with the people that want to crap on every suggestion that's not Tua or a number one overall draft pick. I don't want to engage with those people anymore. I'm tired of the other quarterbacks in the league proving to everybody over and over again that they're viable, and just everybody crapping on them, including the teams that they play for.
Yeah.
I think it's honorable what Tampa Bay did, signing Baker Mayfield and giving him a real shot.
I hear you.
Oh, is he not the guy, never going to be the guy? Fine, if you think that. Guess what they're playing for this week?
What are they playing for, Colin?
I mean, much more than we are.
That's true. They are definitely playing for more than we are.
I mean, my point is, even if you want mediocre, there's still better mediocre than we've built. We're not even mediocre. If mediocre is Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we're not even that.
Good point.
I mean, what about the why would I mean, I don't know. It's just, oh man, I don't know how many times we have to watch other teams play before we realize we're not even, like, dude, it's just, I don't understand how people can't see the walled garden, bro. It's so plain as day obvious, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to find out when we're sitting here watching Bo Nix lose in a valiant effort against whoever they're playing in the playoffs. We're going to be reminded once again that we're not even close. That we're not even close at quarterback.
Mm. This is true.
You know, I mean, it is what it is. If we're going to continue to try to find ways to improve to his game and get faster and more guys and more ways to get people, fast guys with the football in their hand, and that's all it's about. I mean, whatever. I mean,
Color, what do you think about Matt Stafford?
depends on what he thinks.
I don't know. I'm just looking at names of players that could be possible trade options. Matt Stafford is one of them. I looked at who free agents are for quarterback next season. It doesn't look very good, to be honest. Unless, like, Atlanta gives up Kirk Cousins, then maybe Kirk Cousins could come here, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's a known commodity. That's a known thing, and it ain't no better than dealing with Tua for another 5 years. I want a guy that wants that, like, not just has the tools to win, but wants to. You know, it's both, bro. It's just so easy to find, bro. I can't believe people even argued about Lamar Jackson, bro, for all these years.
Trust me, I know. I'm one of them. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I mean, forget whether they still do or not. To ever have an even doubted your eye test. You know, I mean, for real. I don't care if you want to nitpick about, oh, he fails in the playoffs. Whoop-de-doo. You're not winning. Nobody's winning an argument with that. All you're doing is saying, okay, how's that change anything about what we have?
It definitely better than what we have. So, 100%.
Guess what? Another rookie, another guy right out the gate, doesn't need 5 years, about to secure a place in the playoffs for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Another one.
He's probably going to win a game, too.
Oh, wait. Another 2. Because last time I checked, the Commanders will be in the playoffs.
That's true. And that's also a top 3 pick quarterback who's going to be in the playoffs in his rookie season. So for those who wonder what a top 5 pick quarterback should be able to do in their first season, if they're playing that good, they should be in the playoffs.
Right.
And he'll probably make the playoffs his next season as well. For me,
Jordan Love.
It's true.
There's another one. Sam Darnold, I think, was taken in the draft that Lamar was. Jalen Hurts, sitting at 10-2. And the nerve of these people to continue to say that I understand what kind of team Detroit has built. I get that. But to be the only team, but to be 12-1 in your conference, and to even dare say that Tua was even near worth the money that Jared Goff got, to say, oh, he should at least get $1 more than Goff. Why? What bias are people operating on that Jared Goff is so terrible? You see what I'm saying, Ali? Why is he the go-to comparison? Because the Rams cut bait with him in favor of Stafford. Like, what kind of measure is that? Compared to a guy that's in his 5th season.
Yeah.
I mean,
look,
the guy's already poised to go to his 2nd Super Bowl with 2 different teams. It ain't just the team.
Yeah, it's not just the team. Look, for me, when you guys talk about it, like El Cap has talked about, and I think it's you that have been saying this, Color, and correct me if I'm wrong. The Miami Dolphins, their front office make their picks based on what social media says they should do.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Said it from the beginning.
And
They're
everybody
laughed at and crapped on and everything else for saying something like that, too.
I'm not laughing anymore. I'm not laughing. I'm serious with you because.
Well, the only reason I said that, Ali, is because the fact of it is they're not the only organization in the world, and it's not just football that companies are doing that.
Yeah.
And making all their projections on what the bots on Twitter say.
Yeah, and the reality is what they're doing is they're playing football with their pocketbook, right? To make money, right? To invest money, right? We saw recently El Cap shared a post by none other OBJ, right? Was talking about his money he invested.
Right, because he took his paycheck in Bitcoin from the Giants or whatever, yeah. Or the Rams.
Who cares about the money, bro? I'm more worried about what you're doing on the field, right? And they're talking about money. That's where his head's at. That's where I think a lot of our players' heads are at. They're about collecting a paycheck, right? And that's why I say they don't have the will to win. You talked about getting a quarterback who had the will to win.
Right. And they've created an environment where it is now considered taboo and offensive for us as fans to shame them. That is the only way we have to make them perform. We don't it's always about the money, Ali. Football players, since you and I got into football, since that point, have all been rich people who only care about the money. What got them to perform was the shaming.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not allowed to do that now because we're all equal. Except that I don't have zillions of dollars in my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's because your own mistakes in life, Color. Oh, so if I was a millionaire right now, I'm allowed to shame the team then? I mean, what are we supposed to do?
I don't know.
Until OBJ starts breaking me off a piece of that Bitcoin, I'm going to say whatever I want about his ability or lack thereof to catch the football.
Yeah. I mean, that's my issue with money in the game, bro. I think it takes away the hunger that players have, the drive, right? That's why players such as, and I'm going to name this person, Josh Jacobs, the running back of Green Bay. I wanted him here. Do you know his story? Have I told you his story, Color? Do you know his story?
Not sure, but a lot of people were calling for him when we were shopping for a running back. That's right,
Yeah,
I remember.
I'll tell you why I wanted him, right? because he came from nothing, Color. When he was in school, he was living out of his car. You understand? He was living out of his car to make ends meet, to be in playing football and everything. The guy was homeless, right? And what did he do? He took that ambition and ran with it, right? He ran with it to a point where he played beyond his abilities and made it a habit of winning, and hopeful that he would eventually have success to be able to live and provide for his family, right? And that's why I like him, because it wouldn't be about, he would be humble with what we would offer, just giving him a chance. You know, I think he's the type of player that I want here. Look at how he's like leading the league, I think, in rushes or something like that, yards maybe, right now. But Josh Jacobs is one of the better running backs in this league. I need more guys like that. I want more guys, blue collar guys, right? Zach Seiler is one of those guys, right? I need those guys. Van Ginkel was one of those guys. I bet you if we made an offer to Van Ginkel, it could have been lower than what he took to go to the Vikings. He probably would have signed it. Van Ginkel is a blue collar worker. He comes from a blue collar state like Wisconsin, right? Same thing with our fullback, right? He's from Wisconsin. He has that blue collar mentality. That's why he works effortlessly, right? I need a little bit less diva and a little bit more work in my team. That's all I'm asking for, Color.
You sure that's it?
A little bit less talking, a little more action. What's that Elvis song? You know what I'm talking about. That's what I need. Anyways, let's talk about what the keys are to winning this Jets game. And I think we'll end the show with that, right? We'll talk about the Jets game and what we expect and everything. First of all, Color, are you going to the Jets game?
Sorry, I haven't decided yet. It just depends on whether I feel like driving down there.
It's okay. I completely understand. No problem. For me, the keys to the winning are the trenches. We got to win the trench battle. It's very similar keys to what we did to beat the Jets last season around this time. Win the trenches. Make sure you cover properly. The big news coming out is that I believe Sauce Gardner is doubtful, and I heard that Breece Hall is doubtful. That's big news. That's really big news, right? Ramsey's going to have to be all over Devontae Adams, right? And we just got to take care of business. Play smart. Don't make mistakes. I do want to see the running game pick up more. And I want to see, actual completed drives. You know what I mean? Like actually the will to wanting to win, some passion on the field. That's what I want to see. But the keys is establish the run for me and play solid defense. I think that wins you the game. What do you think?
Yeah, execution.
Execution.
Because it don't matter. I mean, I don't even know what we plan to do as far as how. I don't even know what to say, bro. I mean,
that's the dilemma that this team has.
Without knowing who's on the field, if you want to win, you got to execute, and we should roll right through the Jets. If they don't want to win, it don't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't even know where our team wants to do. So, I mean,
yeah.
If I had some kind of psychic ability to find that out, then I would just say, yeah, I mean, take advantage of the fact that Sauce ain't playing. Throw the ball. I mean,
yeah, throw the ball. But you got to play smart.
Cover Adams and cover Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. For me, I think this game's going to end up being something like kind of similar to what was last time. I want to say like we'll say 21-17. 3 points. Whoever gets the field goal in the end wins it. Kind of something like that. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think this is going to be a world beater. It's just whoever wants it more is probably going to win this game.
I think we win by 7, 24-17 if we care. If we don't care, we lose 17-10.
Yeah, I think maybe both teams are going in it. Do we want to win this game? We want the draft pick.
I'm not talking about wanting to win the game for draft. I'm talking about if the players give a shit.
Yeah, that's true.
If they don't give a shit, we're losing.
That's true.
Just all there is to it. I mean, you'll know right away.
Yeah, I definitely
know right away.
So, Color.
I wouldn't. Look, if it's all over with anyway, I wouldn't blame the defense in the slightest if they were to send a message. Mm-hmm. You want to blame us for everything? Here you go. Try to do it by yourself. Let Aaron Rodgers roll right through them.
I agree with that. Color, so let's talk about coaches for a moment, okay? The Jets are in this situation where they want to hold on to Aaron Rodgers for another year. They want to bring in a coach that's really going to help lead their team for the future. The options are going to be very limited. There's not a lot of names I could name off that would be a good situation for Aaron Rodgers and team, right? We might have a situation where we need to find a coach for ourselves. I know there is talk of Vrabel, that name's flying around, which I don't know why, because he was one of those coaches that he led the league, his team to being the best team in the AFC, only to lose the game right up front. He never really got out of that. They'd get to the playoffs and then lose, right? So there really wasn't any he doesn't really move the needle for me, if you know what I mean. Is there a guy out there that moves the needle for you?
Gruden.
Gruden, that's a good one. Is it just him, or is there anybody else?
Yeah, it's just him.
Just him. Interesting.
I think Vrabel is the name that people are out there because they make the going fad now is to make yourself sound smart. Is that we need to toughen up? The Dan Campbell example. So everybody's clamoring for that type of guy, and so everybody's already putting out Vrabel. That's the fashion. I really don't care. I don't want anybody that don't know football like John Gruden knows football.
Yeah.
And if
I agree with that.
And if the front office can't conform to what a guy like him wants in his direction, then it don't matter who we hire. It's going to be the same result.
Good point. I really don't know who we'd get. There's been talks about
if Gruden goes to the Jets will win a Super Bowl before we even sniff a playoff game.
That's true. I could very well be true. I don't know what we're going to do as a head coach if Mike McDaniel is let go, but I want it to be somebody that, I'm not going to lie, bro. I wish we never let go of Dan Campbell, bro. Dan Campbell's the coach that I think that we need at this time. He has a way to motivate players and has the bravado that he's stern enough that you got to trust him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we have that. We don't have that guy that not only can be the motivator, but back it up with his stern and toughness. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know how Like, I'm just going to use this guy as an example, right? Everybody here knows who Chuck Norris is, right? And we all know that Chuck Norris, we always make the jokes that, oh, the tears of Chuck Norris cures cancer, or Chuck Norris can win thumb wrestling without even using a thumb. You know what I mean? You know, we make all these jokes about Chuck Norris, right? Dan Campbell has that kind of presence in his locker room. We understand that. This is something special. This is something that is going to create, you know, documentaries years and years if Dan Campbell's able to pull this off and win a Super Bowl this year. They're going to be making video games and movies about this man. From his playing career to when he became a coach and what he's done with the Detroit Lions, he's done something with the Detroit Lions that the Browns have been doing since they've joined the NFL. They've been trying to do that with the Browns for years. And they haven't been able to do it. Detroit goes there and does it in a matter of 3 seasons, Color. 3 seasons. He's turned that team around. I know I'm sounding like I'm rooting and rotting for the Lions. I'm not. I'm rooting and rotting for Detroit Campbell. And yes, I like their success. I like what they've done with their team. Their team is built very similar to ours in certain aspects, right? They have a quarterback that is very similar to ours. Yeah, the only difference is they execute. And they actually invested in the offensive line and defensive line. Maybe not all the money, but they definitely drafted up and down both lines. And that's what I think where really embodies their success. Not to mention that they have a few good receivers that are taller than 6 foot. Just going to point that out. Sorry, I had to put that in there because that is an issue with our team. We don't have anybody that is 6 foot tall, I don't think. I don't even think OBJ is 6 foot. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's 6 foot or 6'1". But everybody else is like 5'10", 5'11". You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Then we wonder why our quarterback can't find them.
I don't know. So, everybody in the chat, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell if you're new, right? Put it in the chat. Do you think that this team has good habits or bad habits? Do we need players that have habits of winning? Is there a way to change what we have all around? Tell me what you think. What do you think of the draft that I put up? Addressing the offensive line with all the picks and defensive tackles, right? Because to be honest, this team would be completely different had it been infused with fresh, pure, ready-to-go offensive linemen, not the broken down 5-cent bin or bin deals. I don't know if you guys know what a bin deals is. I guess you spend like $10 on a bin, and whatever's in it, it's like a surprise. You either win big or you lose, or you lose big. You know, something like that, right? I really feel if we really truly invested money into this offensive line and defensive line in the trenches, this team would be a lot different. We've already started on the defensive side. That's why we went and got Mo Kamara and Chop Robinson, right? That's a start. But it's the interior defensive line and it's the interior offensive line that's the issue. And I think that's where you're going to see the biggest gains. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Check out the other shows. Check out Insomnia. I'm going to be coming back probably next week, finally, with a brand new episode of Saturday Night Wolfpack. I'm bringing it back. I've been really busy, been out of town, my grandfather's funeral, and with the holidays coming around, we've been, I'm a family man. I got stuff going on. That's pretty much what it comes down to. But you're going to see a lot more broken takes soon. So make sure you hit like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and we will see you in the next one. Pins up, everybody.